So I started back in 2019, just kind of off on my own before I knew about any of the Facebook groups or mentorship programs, anything like that.
Nice.
Um, it was more so out of being bored. So I'd been working since I was basically first able, 15 and a half kind of thing, first job.
Wow.
Just kind of stockpiling everything away. Um, I basically never turned down an opportunity to work. So I had all this cash saved up and maxed out all the kinds of different investment accounts, and just still had stuff kind of sitting around. And my my biggest thought was, I'm stockpiling all this away. I can't touch any of it. It's just there accumulating for, whoever knows how long those investments will be there, right? So thought, what is kind of a tangible thing that I can invest in that's, I could go see and I could touch every day if I really wanted to, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I got started, at least in real estate. Spent probably about 3 or 4 months just going through YouTube and learning all about these different investors and channels and stuff that were kind of floating around, picking up little bits of information here and there, trying to, saturate myself with as much as I could before I decided that I really wanted to make something like this happen.
Nice.
Then yeah, after about that 3 or 4 month mark, this would put me about, I want to say October, November 2019. Finally started going to actually look at properties. I've been pretty sound on trying to come up with comps and stuff. I was working with a fantastic agent. I'm still working with him today. Yeah, after probably, I want to say 6 or 7 outings with him, came across my very first one, and I took possession of that in January 1st, 2020, which was super cool. It was a really nice, exciting experience. It's start the new year off with a bang.
Love it. Nice.
Yeah, so I went through, did the renovations on that one. All myself. I wanted to learn as much as I could. I wanted to be able to understand what my business was going to be before kind of allowing or necessitating the need for different trades to come in, or different contractors, that sort of thing, so that I knew what I was getting into. I knew what my expectations were, kind of all aligning that. So that house, I still have that house. That was my first rental property. That's in the Chalmers area of Elmwood, here in Winnipeg. Um, my first rental experience was not the greatest. COVID takes over, and we got burned a little bit on that one. But I look back on that, and I feel very thankful that was my first experience. A lot of people say, like, all it takes is one bad experience to just kind of sour your taste for real estate, right? And I knew kind of, with all the buildup that I had, like, it didn't phase me one bit. Like, you build in new systems, you learn to deal with kind of various punches and variables as they come up, and find a way to kind of better yourself from it. So that tenant left, fortunately, and I've got a fantastic new tenant in that house. Single mom, 2 kids. One of them's a special needs kid, which is really nice. She takes absolute perfect care of that property. It's I got blessed after kind of like a curse to start off, to say the least. So yeah, I implement systems from kind of that first bad experience. That was about a little before that was about the time I kind of came into Teammate as well. So I was being mentored by Garrett, and taught me also a lot of very good, not just techniques, but just kind of lessons in general of things that I should look for and that sort of thing. And kind of took that blueprint off on my own. I adapted it a little bit myself to kind of what fit my needs and kind of my game plan for what I saw, and applied that into my newest property that we just finished up recently.
Yeah, amazing. So yeah, a lot to glean off of there. Basically, you had a course correction, you had a learning environment, and almost like a real estate practicum of your own there, where you went through it in person and learned to dodge a lot of the different landmines and things like that. And there maybe there was some injuries sustained, but you're able to heal after that, and then of course even prosper. So I guess that leads to the next part about the style of investing that you're involved in. You gave some of it away there. So what is your main strategy for people listening and learning that you're involved in right now?
Yeah, so I'd say my biggest strategy right now is very much that kind of buy and hold rental. Um, I haven't gone full off into a BRRRR. I haven't gone full off into, a house hack or anything like that. It's very much like what I what I learned very strongly, at least when I was first starting out, is understanding kind of the numbers game and um, how I need to establish that, at least for what my own criteria is. So while I will draft an analysis for a property before I look at it too deeply around my model, I'm also analyzing those deals for basically any other option. It could end up being that it's the right set for a BRRRR. It could be the right set for something else that I haven't necessarily explored yet.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to use that as an opportunity to further my learning, further my understanding, still having my ground base as a foundation to build off of. So if something does go wrong, hey, you know what, I can still kind of come back a little bit to what my bread and butter has kind of become. Take those opportunities to learn from others and kind of bounce ideas off and kind of go into that. So
Love it. Yeah, and so when you're in your projects, I guess you can talk about a little bit about some of your recent project or even current projects. Would you like to share a little bit of what you're going through there for people wanting to learn more about real estate?
sure. So you're kind of talking about like a start to finish of kind of where I was at for this last one.
Yeah, sure.
Sure,
You can go with that.
sure. So yeah, the so that one that we just finished up, closed on it in October of last year. Um, it was a lot of maybe ambitious plans that I wanted to kind of go through, and um, it was I bought it as through an estate sale.
Mm,
The folks had passed, and it was kind of being sold off by the 5 family kids, and
I see.
that sort of thing. So um, yeah, there wasn't like a lot of wiggle room, I'll say, on the price, because everyone wants their own little
Yeah,
like cut, and
piece of the
and
pie.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, so but yeah, I mean, when I was kind of getting into that one, it was a lot of understanding what else is around, what am I competing with, um what is the area typically, right? Like um Chalmers is not a oh, sorry, I should clarify, that's where I bought my second one too. um
Nice.
but yeah, it's not a very um heavy like luxury rental market, right? But it's also not, like it, it's not like low grade, if that makes sense. it's
Hmm.
not it's not that lower end type of rental, right? It's very much trying to make it feel as homey as possible,
Yeah.
which is very nice because I don't have to go for these crazy finishes. I don't have to um you know put all this time and resource into something. It's how can I do this in a meaningful way, something
Mm-hmm.
that reflects me as a person and as an investor, but also speaks to the most people, you know. So the original plan was to kind of full gut the kitchen. It's a nice long kitchen, old oak cabinets,
Oh yeah.
natural oak cabinets, you know, just um, and then the bathroom was kind of tiled up. So I was going to replace all that, and then kind of the more time went on, I was working two jobs.
Mm.
I was, you know, struggling to be able to put in the time that I wanted and the time that I felt was deserved at that property enough. So, you know, some things ended up getting cut. A lot of the things that came up in that house just doing basic renovations were pretty insane to think about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we came across lights that were, um, you know, large finishing nails that were
Ooh,
just
yeah.
popped right into the ceiling to use to hold these old light fixtures up in there. We came across all kinds of you know, different things. Like there's no central AC in that place, so
Mm.
they were using one that was built into the door. There's no light in the living room, you know, things like that. Like you're basically reliant on a window. You know, just like really weird things that kind of make you scratch your head, but then you also have to kind of double back and say, okay, well, I can put my time and my effort into making, say, you know, the kitchen as fresh as possible. I could rip out everything and could gut it, but then where does that leave me on my numbers, on my budget
Yeah.
for these other things that come up, right? So kind of taper off, and I didn't end up gutting out those cabinets. We ended up just kind of um, revitalizing them, I'll
I
say.
see.
Um, and then adding out just a couple other like homey finishes. We did some wallpapering that was really nice. Um, Freshening up as much of the space as we can, making it feel more inviting, a little warmer,
Mm-hmm.
not so cold, or you know, ancient's not the right word if you're calling it like a 1940s look, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
kind of bringing that bringing some of those older touches into the 21st century
Mm-hmm.
and wrapping it up into a bow that, you know, whether it's a starter home for somebody, it's a downsizing situation, or you know, whatever that's going to be as in terms of their rental experience, right? Just making that space as inviting as possible, as homey as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, like I said, it's a reflection of me. I want the work to stand for kind of me and what I envision and how I see my business being ran. And I think that kind of fits as best as possible for kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I like how you are saying that your finished work is an extension of your personality, your ethics, your how you keep things, and it's a reflection of you as a business person on a professional level, but also a personal level, which is nice that you're able to customize the end result to how you want it, and how that also makes you feel when you're looking at everything when it's completed, right? And something that you can be proud of. So while at the same time you didn't uh, over renovate it to the point where it didn't fit into the ecosystem or the neighborhood, but it you renovated it to meet the market demand, right? So that it was at a level where obviously people, when they're walking in for a showing or they're looking at it, you know, they're going to feel proud and feel safe and secure, but also
Yeah,
have an
exactly.
enjoyable environment when they're living in there too, something that they
Yeah,
can call home.
yeah,
So
and I want them to
that's great.
understand like the value that they'd be getting, right? Like it's
Hmm.
not just you know, I'm renting for X amount, and you know, this is all I'm getting, or I'm renting for X amount and it's more than I could have hoped for. Like that would be fantastic, the latter of the two, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I ever want it to feel like, you know what, like like Winnipeg is kind of fortunate where we have a lot of investors um, who do good quality work, and it's nice to be able to compare kind of what I'm doing to what they're doing. Um, you know, being able to kind of network in that way and understand, hey, you know what, this is the route that we went. This is kind of um, what the cost for something like this was, and maybe I can take a tidbit of that and kind of put that into the, you know, the depths of my mind of what might happen for something down the line. But being able to compare, hey, you know what, maybe I'm renting for this amount, but for, you know, an extra $200 a month or something, maybe this is the finished product that they're getting, right?
I see.
So being able to define that value between, you know, maybe it's a higher end rental versus a luxury versus kind of like that homey mid range that I'll
Hmm.
call it, right?
Yeah.
Something like that, which is it's kind of sobering, but it's also nice because you're understanding kind of full spectrum of what's out there, and can kind of use that as a talking point in your advantage too.
Yeah, I love it. And I would say, obviously, a lot of things that you went through, thus far. What would be some advice that you can provide for, let's say, newer investors that are looking to get into their first cash flowing property or whatnot? What would you say to them that could help them along their way in their journey?
Uh, so I guess I'd give like two key pieces of advice, especially to myself if I was starting over again, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the first piece of advice that I would give is, you know, if this is something that you really want to do, and by all means, I would recommend it 10 times out of 10. You know, um, I've really enjoyed my journey so far. But if this was something that you were considering doing, be sure to not be discouraged when things go wrong.
Mm,
You're never going to have the most perfect ride. Um, like I said kind of earlier, I was fortunate enough that one of my probably my worst experience for the foreseeable future, I hope, um, was my first one, right? Like I gained a lot of value out of that. I've implemented systems around how I screen tenants. So now I run an application process instead of doing an open house for people, and then kind of playing it off by ear of how I feel, right? Um,
nice.
you know, I now have a significantly better screening process that is paid for itself probably 80 times over, and you know
Mhm.
it's just pivoting from one to a new one. But even now in the new one that I finished up, my application processes has yielded a fantastic um, family that's going to take over that house, and I'm confident that it's going to go well. And so yeah, I would just say, like, no matter what happens, understand that things will go wrong. You're never going to have it perfect every single time, but it's how you react to those situations and how you pivot from them that's going to define not only your experience in real estate, but also your perception as an investor of the risks that you're willing to take
Mhm.
and what your comfort level ends up kind of being. Um, I'd say the second biggest piece of advice, if I were to start over again, or even just for a new investor, um, I I will say proudly that I have not been successful at raising funds, and that is something that I'm still working on.
Mhm.
But in that, you know, if you're just starting out and you're doing it as all on your own dime, right? Um, Understand the worth of your dollar, the worth of your time, and make sure that that worth carries over into how you prep for a property. So are you fully confident in what your holding costs are going to be? What does your timeline look like? You know, um, what is your budget to be able to do something? Um, what is your backup plan if something goes wrong? You know, where does that come from? Um, so me kind of funding everything from start to finish just on my own has been a lot of, okay, I need to hustle a little harder to make sure that this gets done, or I need to be a little more creative. Maybe I can't do, you know, A, B, and C that I wanted to do initially, but
Mhm.
how can I still bring my style and my flair into X, Y, and Z as a pivot, right? Um, I still feel bad about like, you know, taking like $20 from somebody to, you know, be able to do something, right? So, um, yeah, I would say understand like you're paying off yourself in the long haul. Um, but if you are fortunate enough to end up in a position um, where you do have investor funds and that sort of thing, um, understanding the value of their dollar, and you know, in my opinion, you should be working to pay back all of that and then some. It's not just money you're giving back, or paying out to investors, right? It's that
Mhm.
confidence and it's that peace of mind of you as an individual.
Yeah, yeah, no, that is a lot of great advice there. I know that a lot of people that are going to hear it are going to take a lot from it. So yeah, that's really, really useful advice. Appreciate that. And speaking on, joint ventures or networking and collaborations, for people that uh, get a hold of this, what is the best way that they can reach out to you or touch base with you and network?
Yeah, absolutely. So easiest place would definitely be probably just to add me on Facebook. I
Okay.
accept way too many friends requests all the time.
Nice.
Uh,
Popular guy.
sometimes sometimes I get in a little trouble for that, but um, you
That's
know,
good.
it's the opportunity might not be immediate for us to be able to do something together, but even just to bounce ideas off. I love to see what other people are doing. Hopefully people like to see what I'm doing, right? So yeah, I'd say Facebook is the best place. Otherwise, on Instagram, you can follow me, Peter underscore Grimsley 98, or my rentals page, which is Grimsley GRP, Grimsley Group for short. But that's where I
Okay.
post progress updates, pictures, kind of the whole kit kat and caboodle of what I've got going on.
Excellent. Well, for everyone listening, be sure to add him on those pages, follow him, and keep track of his what he's doing now and his future projects. Well, it's been really nice talking with you, Peter, and thanks for all of the juicy details and of course the advice that you're sharing with everyone. It's going to mean a lot to people. So
Yeah,
thanks for taking
uh,
the time on a Friday to talk about this and share your stories. So we'll definitely stay in touch. And thank you
absolutely.
again.
Thank you.
Okay, take care now.
All right, take care.